Hi, I am Dr. Sarah Colby, and I am here to tell you all about myself. So feel free to watch or not watch. It's totally up to you. This is just a getting to know you video, and I may take a little longer to talk than I would otherwise, but since you don't see me in class, I'd rather you have a feel for who your teacher is. A little about me. Let's see, where should I start? I am a registered dietitian. Let's start there. I do have a PhD as well. And what brought me to the field of nutrition? Growing up, I had a best friend who was a gorgeous dancer, cheerleader, phenomenal. She was everything. Everybody either wanted to be her or date her, depending on their sexual orientation. They just absolutely loved her. And she had an eating disorder, and I watched her pass out with blood coming out of her nose and all of the things that come along with that. And at the same time, my mother is one of the most brilliant, amazing women. Uh, Seriously, one of the smartest people I've ever met. Amazing career, written books. She's also a doctor in childhood education, just a really giving, amazing person who was also suffered with obesity for her whole life. And she was obese before obese was cool. And so I watched during that same time that my best friend was suffering with anorexia and bulimia, that I watched how the world treated my mom. And that's why I said when before it was cool, is because there weren't very many overweight or obese individuals with overweight or obesity. And so I got to see how it affected how she felt about herself and how it affected her relationship with my father and how the world treated her. And I just got to see at a pretty young age how how food affected the people that I love so much. And so it made me really want to learn more about nutrition, more about food, why we eat what we eat, and how we feel about it, and how it's a part of our culture. And so I actually did a background in theater. So we'll get into my school now. So now that you know where I'm coming from. So I did a background in theater, and I was at North Carolina School of the Arts and the New World School of the Arts. And then I did a double major at Florida State, where I had my undergrad in nutrition. And from there, I did a master's at Western Carolina with a master's in health sciences. And from there, I went to work in a wonderful place at the Cherokee Indian Hospital. It was my first clinical experience. Loved working with the community, got to know everybody and families for years in so many different ways, and not just in inpatient and hospital settings, but also an outpatient and long-term outpatient, getting to develop those relationships, as well as schools and community settings, and really fell in love with working with communities and also working with traditional foodways. From there, I love research and I love working with students. So this is really sad that I don't get to know you in person. So like I said, turn it off if you're bored. You don't have to watch this. But if you're curious who I am and who your teacher is, keep watching. So I went back to school and got my PhD, and there I worked with, this is where life comes full circle. I did theater as a nutrition education strategy with newly arrived Latino youth, primarily from Mexico. So about 98% of the population that I worked with was from Mexico. And we used theater, and they got to develop this beautiful story. I gave them one page about diabetes, and they told the story of their experiences coming to the US and trying new foods, and their relationship they had with their parents' food ways, and those acculturation issues. So it was a gorgeous play. From there, after I graduated, I went to the USDA, and I actually worked as a nutrition research scientist for the government. And I worked in the Northern Plains area with many different tribes in the Northern Plains area. And that was an amazing opportunity to be a part of communities and to partner with communities. And again, to learn about traditional foods and learn how communities deal with so many issues, so many complex issues, and how food plays a part of that, and our health especially. And so from there, I taught at East Carolina University for a few years until this position came open here. And for me, this is basically coming home, and it's UT, which is fantastic. So I've been teaching here for about 10 years, and I am very excited to be teaching this class. You can always ask me anything. I have a husband of a lot of years, for we've been married for quite a few number of years, please feel free to ask. I will share with you that he actually had, he has celiac, and he also has soy allergies. And when I was a newly diagnosed, listen to me, when I was a new registered dietitian, I was playing around with what was going on, why was he so sick, and I knew just enough to be dangerous. This was 26 years ago. So again, he was gluten-free before gluten-free was cool, and definitely before you could buy things in the store. So anyway, I've experienced life with a celiac gluten-free individual for many years. So for those of you who have gluten issues, I'm right there with you. You can ask me any kind of questions. And I have 3 beautiful children. I have 2 sons and a daughter, and I love them very much, and they have their own issues, very definitely. So feel free to ask me about feeding children, what they like, what they don't like, how it worked out. That's actually probably been one of the more successful in some ways experiences that what we know from research about feeding young kids really works. And so my kids have always had a very healthy palate and tried new foods. So I'm sure that they would enjoy this class as well. So anyway, I think I have 2 dogs I love. I'm not sure what else you might want to know about me, but that's probably more than you wanted to know. But really, honestly, reach out to me. You've got my cell number. You can call or text. Email is probably the easiest way to get me. I'm connected to my email probably more than I should be. Oh, I probably should say what I love doing, so that we are not defined by our careers. That's not. I am most defined by the fact that I love to help people, and in lots of different ways. So I like gardening, which is really weird because I did not used to be good at it at all. Although I've been more into growing herbs and blooming things lately than foods, and because I can go to a farmer's market. But and then I'm turning into my grandmother. I love birds. I love to watch the birds. I love to feed the birds. But I'm not my grandmother because I love to feed the squirrels. So I love reading. Gosh, I sound like I'm on a bad date. I love the outdoors. I love to hike when I can. And so what else do I love to do? I love yoga. I really do sound like a bad date. Okay, you know more about your teacher than you needed to know. The most important thing you know is that I do care, and I'm right here. I'm a real person. And anytime you need anything, please reach out. And I think we're going to have an amazing class. I look forward to hearing all about your experiences and your thoughts and what you learn. So I will hopefully talk to you soon. Take care.